While this is really designed for women, it could certainly be worn by a man. I am a man and I am not afraid. Choosing a pair of fishing sunglasses, or any sunglasses for that matter, can be overwhelming because 1, they can be pretty expensive, and 2, there are a whole lot to choose from. So how do you narrow it down? Well, if you're like me, maybe you start by looking at a certain brand. And in this case, Smith Optics is a reputable brand in the eyewear world. I've had them before. I like them. So what did I do when I needed to choose a pair of sunglasses, particularly for fishing this summer? I bought them all. I wanted to try out every single one of them to see which one I really liked the most and tell you guys about it too. So here we go. Well, let me give you a quick and dirty version. If what really matters to you in a pair of sunglasses is comfort, save yourself some trouble and go with either the Guide's Choice from Smith or the Redding. This is the other pair that I found to be very comfortable. Now, on the ladies' side of the fence, if you put a fence between the ladies and the men, then there is the Joya and the Rockaway, which are built almost the exact same and only really have a difference in the shape of the lens. My wife liked them equally well in terms of comfort. Both of them are cute and look good and very nice, function very nicely. So those are your best choices for comfort. Now, if what's more important to you for fishing and being on the water is coverage, then you might take a close look at the Castaway. It definitely has the best coverage, I'd say. Doesn't even really let any glare in from underneath. The sides are well protected by these nice big temples and nice big lenses, but when it's on, it doesn't look too terrible, even if I do. So the Castaway is excellent for coverage. The Guide's Choice is right there too. So I'd say the Castaway and Guide's Choice provide the best coverage out of all these on the table. There are, however, 2 more pairs of sunglasses in the Smith fishing eyewear lineup that came out in 2022. And I don't have them on the table, frankly, because I'm just not that cool. But if you are that cool, and you probably are, then you might check them out too. I did get a chance to take a close look at them at ICAST, which is the biggest fishing conference in the US for sport fishing anyway. I got to look at the Spinner and the Boomtown at ICAST and try them on and have a look, and they are very nice indeed, and they do provide excellent coverage. So if really that is the main thing to you, then go ahead and put on what looks a little bit like Smith's ski goggles, and that is either the Boomtown or the Spinner version. Very cool, but not for me. If that's not you, then let's look at the rest and how I rank them. Starting from the top, my number 1 pick is the Guide's Choice. The Guide's Choice provides, I feel, very excellent coverage. It's very comfortable. The temple pieces on this are straight and flat. There's not a lot, and they're flexible as well. So you don't feel any pressure on your temples when you're wearing them all day. They don't get too weighty on your nose. They keep the sun from coming up underneath, glaring off your cheeks up into your eyes, even when you're driving. So these are a great all-around pair of glasses, and frankly, these are the ones I've gone to the most, and probably the ones I'm gonna be sticking to. There's one thing I don't like about them, and it's kind of a nice to have though, not a must have, so I let it slide, and that is the leash that comes with it. Now, boy howdy, if leashes were all as good as the alternative Smith has put on their more recent versions, which I think they call this the Pivlock system, this is great. The Guide's Choice leash is not. You may as well throw it away or just go buy yourself a pair of chums, a set of chums, because these are not gonna make you happy. It's my top choice because it provides a good balance, especially for fishing, a good balance of coverage, comfort, design, I think it looks good, and function, and then in value as well. All right, next in the lineup, our number 2 winner here is, the runner-up is the Joya, and while this is really designed for women, it could certainly be worn by a man. I am a man and I am not afraid. Here we are. It is a nice looking set. This is my wife's favorite pair, and she's been wearing them all summer and will continue to do so. They have a nice look and feel. Now they don't provide a ton of coverage on the side, and that's one of the downsides of it. It will let some glare in through the sides and even underneath, because it doesn't have the same wrap as, say, the Guide's Choice has a much more significant wrap. I think this is an 8 base wrap on the Guide's Choice, and this is a 6 base wrap, they call it at Smith, but basically that means that it doesn't curve back around your head as much. So you kind of get these little gaps right in there. A great choice, but the coverage is not the best. The comfort is excellent. They do have the spring temples, which is also nice to not break them as easily and to be comfortable. They have kind of a grippy temple here. And what's great about these is they have the opposite of a terrible leash system, which is the Pivlock system from Smith. The way this one works is it just clips in like there. You've got a little knob and holes on the end. Stick it in and fold it over, and voila, it is there, and it functions wonderfully, and it's easy to take off as well. So that is a functional leash if you're going to use the included leash. Models in this lineup that include the Pivlock leash are the Joya, the Rockaway, and the Castaway. Number 3 is the Redding. If you try to avoid those sunglasses that have a little bit of an alien feel and don't like that oval shape, then you're probably not going to like this. It's a little old school, but so am I, so it seemed to suit me pretty well. These are very much like the sunglasses I wore in high school. But hey, I like them a lot. They feel really good on. Now, they don't have a big temple to try to block out some of that sun, but they do have an excellent wrap, and they just fit my face wonderfully. Now, I have sort of a medium-sized face with the width, and this is an excellent option for a medium-sized face. Now, they also have these spring-loaded temples, which is nice. I do love that. That screw came a little loose. That's too bad. But it has a grippy nose piece. It's made of, the temples are flexible and flat, much like the Guide's Choice. In fact, you could even use that same terrible leash on the Redding as you could on the Guide's Choice, but I won't. I just put a set of chums on it if I'm going to go out on the lake. I just really, really like these. I like the look. I even like that kind of matte tortoise frame. Think it's classic design. It looks nice. So if you just want a classic pair of sunglasses that are reliable and look nice, this is a good choice. Now, I have the glass lenses in these, and I like the glass in the Redding because it's pretty lightweight. They're not huge lenses. They provide good coverage because they just because of the geometry, I guess, the shape, but they're not heavy. So they're not heavy on your nose. Now, the one thing I don't like about these is this. You try to put this thing on your head when you go into the gas station, and that's going to happen. And that irritates me. That's the only downside. Luckily, I usually wear a hat, and then it's a non-issue. But the Smith Redding, excellent choice. Next up, we have the Smith Rockaway. Now, this is another set designed more recently and catering to the ladies. Looks very nice as well. What it really is, the only real difference between the Joya and the Rockaway is that lens shape. They actually have the exact same temple pieces. Both have the Pivlock system. They have similar nose pieces. They feel very similarly. They're both a 6 base wrap. So they don't have a ton of coverage for glare and things like that from the side or below. And these are actually a little bit smaller lenses than the Joya. So I'd say the Rockaway got a little bit, slightly fewer points from us just because of that. So if you're fishing or if you're out on the water, you are going to notice even more glare sneaking in. But they do look awfully good, and I love how my wife looks in them. My sister tried them on and loved them. This is the opal mirror lens, which I think looks awesome, as does that frame with the sort of gloss tortoise, but then it kind of fades in a nice little opal color there at the bottom of the frame. It's just a really attractive, great design, very comfortable and functional sunglass that looks good on the water or in town. You know, that's an everyday sunglass that works great for fishing too, is really what it is. And my wife loves it. Next, we have the Castaway. Now, when I first saw this and got it, this is the one I wanted to be my favorite because I thought it looked really good. I love those blue mirror lenses, and I did wear them a lot. Here's the one thing I don't like about these. It's the weight. Now, I have glass lenses in these, And so they are pretty heavy because they're just large lenses. There's a large coverage, which is great for when you're on the water. Now I wore these surf fishing in Florida this summer. I wore them while I was bow fishing up in the mountains of Idaho, and on bluebird sunny days, that blue mirror finish is fantastic, and the glass lenses are most excellent. But the weight of them would just bother me. Now I'm a guy, I can't wear my pants too tight. I don't tie my shoes because I don't like things that fit snug. If you like things that fit snug, maybe that won't even bother you. And I think for a lot of people, it is a non-issue. But for me, that extra weight in the glass lenses on the Castaway was a little more than I wanted to bear all the time. So I only would wear them for short periods of time, or I'd find myself putting them on my head a lot to give my nose a break. So think about that. If that's not an issue to you, don't worry about it, but maybe it is. And if you had polycarbonate lenses in there, maybe that would take that edge off and it'd be probably slip to number one. Now, if it weren't for that, the comfort factor for me, this one probably could have beat out the Guide's Choice because it does also have the Pivlock leash system, which is functional and useful and includes the leash when you get it. So that's the Castaway. Now we get back to my last few choices, and these are all kind of a similar ilk. This is the Smith Barra. Now this one looks really good. This one is supposed to be more of a fishing sunglass that you can wear every day and still feel like you look cool. I rarely feel like I look cool, but I sometimes attempt to do so. And this has a couple little things. It has these blinder looking things here, but they are molded in, so they're not too obnoxious. Same on the top, you see a little bit here and here. They have nice temples that are flexible and rubbery on the end, so they do grip to your head pretty well. The biggest issue I had with these was the side glare. So despite the little blinder, when I was driving down the road especially, man, did that sun just hit right in the back of that lens. And even now, with the light to my side, I can see my own eyeball right there in the back side of the lens. I hate that. So that's why I didn't give this a better score. But if you're looking for a pair of everyday sunglasses, or you're a more casual fisherman, or maybe you're a hardcore fisherman, but you just like to look better than the rest of us, the Barra is a good option. It also is a little bit cheaper. When it comes to price, however, on all these options, there's not a huge range from Smith. All of them fall in within about 160 to 260 bucks. That doesn't mean you won't find them cheaper at certain retailers or on sale all the time. You certainly do. But that's like the list price. And so this is on that lower end of the price range. Deckboss. So the Smith Deckboss is a little bit different. It is made primarily for larger faces. So if you have a wider face, a larger face, and you want a comfortable pair of sunglasses, this is probably a good option. I do feel like it looks a little bit big on me. That's because I have usually about a medium-sized face for most sunglasses. But hey, I still wore these quite a bit. I wore them fishing. I wore them on a backpacking trip in Idaho, and they were great. Now, one thing that's different about these, and I didn't realize this at first, and that's why I felt like the fit wasn't totally comfortable for the first couple days of that backpacking trip, is when I was hiking, every time I hike, I got this going on, bouncing on my nose because it just wasn't quite gripping to my face just right. Well, it turns out these have kind of a unique feature on the temples. You can bend that temple in and out, up and down by design, and that will help them grip. Now, once I did mess with that a bit, I got them adjusted to my face, and it was a better ride. I didn't have them bouncing on my nose so much. They have a unique lens shape too. That's kind of cool. It's a little different. It's not quite oval. It's not quite square. It's almost polygonal. But hey, I like that. I did like that color lens. It was a little unique. Now this comes in, all these come in different color options, and this is a little different one, this sort of matte gray with this bronze or copper mirror lens. And this was actually really nice in low light, so fishing and the sight fishing in the evenings or whatever on that backpacking trip was great with these. So a nice set of sunglasses, really meant to fit the face of certain of people that have a little bit larger faces. So you might consider that if that's you. So this is the Longfin. I like to think of this as the mullet of the Smith sunglasses lineup. They are all business in the front and then a party in the back, or rather the side. Now, these little Megal strip, these little rubbery blinders here. My wife just couldn't stop giving me a hard time about them. Said they look, you know, I looked like a draft horse. So if you like horses, you'll probably like these too, but I really like how they fit. They are extremely comfortable, maybe the most comfortable of all these just because they're so lightweight and at least on my face, they just fit really well. I like the lens shape a lot. It's a nice shape. They provide decent coverage, although a little glare gets in from below. They're not quite as deep that way, I guess. And they don't have the same 8 base wrap as like the Castaway or the Guide's Choice or the Deckboss. They're that 6 base wrap like the Barra, the Joya, and the Rockaway. And that makes it so they're a little bit flatter. And that allows a little bit more light to come in. So they try to compensate, you know, with that. If you don't mind that, then hey, it's not gonna be an issue for you. I do think they look good from the front, not quite as good from the back, but they are functional. Just not the best coverage from sunlight, but they are extremely, extremely comfortable and very flexible temples as well. So a good option for you. With these 5 in front, basically the ones that cost a little bit more, you're gonna get a hard case as well. And then you get a leash system with a pivlock leash system, an actual usable one, with the Rockaway, the Joya, and the Castaway. And then you get this throwaway leash system with the Guide's Choice, but I wouldn't even count it. It'd be nice if all of them came with a hard case, you know, for that price point, but hey, you get what you get. Now, how do you choose between the ChromaPop lens and the Tech Light? Now, Tech Light is actually Smith's older version. I think it came out first. It used to be their best of the best. Now the ChromaPop is on all of these, whether you get polycarbonate or plastic lenses or glass. And it is awesome. You know, even my wife said over and over, wow, you see so much color. Now the big choice though that you might be wondering is, do you get the polycarbonate lenses or do you pay the 50, 60 bucks more for a pair of glass lensed Smiths? Now all of these are polycarbonate except for the Castaway and the Redding. So that's what I had experience in the glass. Glass is supposed to be more durable. It's more scratch resistant more than anything. And that should make it last longer in theory. The downside is they are heavier, and it was definitely noticeable on the Castaways, not as noticeable on the Reddings that had a little bit smaller lenses. I think the same could probably be said for others. If that weight doesn't bother you, go try some on in a store maybe, then you're not gonna be bothered by the glass lens weight. The polycarbonate is a bit cheaper and it's lighter. That is the advantage of it. They also say glass is supposed to be more clear. Man, I'm not some machine that can analyze that in any kind of profound depth, but I did not see a dramatic difference between a glass lens and a polycarbonate lens. I'm sure some of you disagree. Feel free to let me know what your experience was in the comments. Let's keep it positive. I wouldn't necessarily spring for the glass just to thinking it's going to be way clearer, but I would possibly spring for it if I want just a more durable lens or something that's going to last forever, and I'm going to get a lens that's not enormous. So on some everyday glasses or something like these Reddings, it's a go. Now the lens colors are something to consider with Smith sunglasses. And that is mainly because you have the option of all these different mirror finishes. Now there's the blue mirror finish, there's a green mirror finish like you have on the Barra here. The difference between these, the blue mirror, obviously besides being blue, is actually a gray based lens. All the lenses are either a gray base or an amber base. There are some yellow ones too for low light, but most of them are either gray or amber. And the amber lens might have a green mirror coating. The gray ones might have a blue mirror coating. And then you have, and this is like an amber lens with no mirror finish. These amber lenses, honestly, are my favorite for everyday use, and I can wear them anytime, anywhere. So if you're buying one pair of shades for fishing, then I'd probably really look at those amber lenses unless you really don't like how they look. Now you also have kind of these green base, or it's a gray base, but sort of a green finish, or just a gray or black lens. Those are also excellent. They're going to be a little bit darker than the amber, so keep that in mind. Mirror finishes are really for bright daylight. Now blue is supposed to be the brightest of bright days, you know, so your offshore fishermen fishing for marlin and tuna in the bright sunny days, you know, that's going to be a great finish. But it's going to seem a bit dark when you're just cruising around town at dusk. Still a little bright that you want to have glasses on, but that's going to feel a little dark. So amber's kind of the best all around. That green mirror finish is supposed to be just a notch down from the blue. And really, Smith puts if you look at their website, they have these little meters that kind of show you where they're supposed to fit between overcast days and bright sunny days. And I found that to be pretty accurate. So you can go off of that with some confidence. There you have it. That's my review on the best fishing sunglasses from Smith. My favorite again was the Guide's Choice overall. I also really like the Redding, wear it all the time. I would love that Castaway even more if I had probably poly lenses in it, so it was a little lighter, but it is a fantastic set of shades. And then all these are nice. I think if you choose any of them, you're gonna be happy with them. They're good quality sunglasses. One last note to say is I did have an issue with one of them. In fact, on the Joya, this is the second set of Joyas I got because the first set had a defect. And so I claimed a warranty with Smith. They asked me, I had to send in a couple of pictures. Basically, the lens had delaminated a little bit. So these are all polarized lenses, by the way. And so you could see actually these lines, striations in the lens. It was kind of annoying. And so we got rid of that, and I sent in the claim, and they sent us a brand new pair. But the one downer was I had to show them proof that the old pair was destroyed, so I had to break the temples off and earpieces off, and I thought that was a little wasteful, but hey, it is what it is. They did take care of it right away, and I got a new set, so we were glad. That's it. If you like this video, please show us by giving it a thumbs up, clicking on that button. Consider subscribing to the channel and watch more gear review videos like this, and we'll see you on the next one.